Who was the famous Glaswegian who met his maker after an expedition to Castle Milk? And how was he writing YouTube vlogs 150 years before YouTube existed? Find out now on this episode of Astonishing Glasgow. This episode's a little bit different. I'm going to focus on one of the most famous Glaswegians that you may never have heard of. This is Hugh Macdonald, who was born on Rumford Street in Bridgeton, right here, on the 4th of April 1817. His parents had moved from the Highlands in search of work, and his dad had found a job as a textile dryer in the Monteith and Company Works, which was once located in the Barrowfield area. At the age of 7, Hugh started working at the same factory as a junior assistant, but soon took on an apprenticeship as a block printer. A brief spell as a grocer ended in failure, and when the shop shut in 1848, Hugh went back to block printing for Harrow, McIntyre and Company, who were based in Paisley. He still lived in Bridgeton at this time, and would walk the almost 10 miles to Paisley and then back again every day. If you think your commute is bad, imagine walking for 2.5 hours before you get to your work, and the same again after your shift. He did temporarily relocate to Paisley, but before long he was back in Glasgow. Hugh was a great supporter of Robert Burns, and was a member of the City Club for Writers and Artists, which met in the Bank Tavern and was where he started to dabble in poetry. He began writing around 1840 and then helped form the Ramblers Association, so he clearly got something out of his long walks to work each day. His writing was soon spotted by James Heatherwick, founder of the Glasgow Citizen newspaper, and personally invited Hugh to start writing articles. The Glasgow Citizen newspaper went out of print in 1974, and the office building on St Vincent's Place is now home to the Citizen restaurant. The newspaper only moved here in 1889, so sadly Hugh would never have worked in this building, but he joined the staff in 1849 and wrote many articles on social and political issues under the pen name Caleb. His articles were very popular, but what really made his name were his travelogues of Glasgow. Published over 3 years, his rambles took place in the countryside around the city, places that today would be completely unrecognisable to Hugh, and definitely not places that could be described as the countryside anymore. In 1854, his collection of rambles were published in the book Ramble Around Glasgow, and it was a huge success. Followed by the book Days at the Coast in 1857, that was also well received, Macdonald became the sub-editor of the Glasgow Citizen and the editor of the Glasgow Times, while still writing about his rambles. Whilst researching his book, Footsteps of the Year, Hugh took ill whilst on an expedition to Castle Milk. I don't think his zone card went that far, but to be honest, if I had to sit in a 5A bus up Kilmarnock Road, I'd risk death as an alternative. And for the passengers on this bus coming down Kilmarnock Road in March 1980, it was very nearly terminal. But thankfully the driver and 4 passengers walked away with minor injuries. Hugh Macdonald never did recover from his illness, and sadly died on the 16th of March 1860, aged 42. He was buried in the southern necropolis, but sadly, after a lot of searching, I couldn't locate his grave. And yes, yet again, I'm in a graveyard. You'll recognise this cemetery if you've watched episode 22, as Agnes Harkins is buried right here, and I'm fairly certain I'll be back in this graveyard at some point. So popular was Hugh and his rambles that after his death a fountain was erected in his memory on the Glenifer Braes near Paisley, but so many people were visiting it that it was moved here to Glasgow Green in 1881. The fountain was paid for by the Glasgow Ramblers Club and placed on the location of his very first ramble. The Paisley Old Weavers Society placed their own memorial on the Glenifer Braes in 1883. And if you enter Glasgow Green from the path at the corner of King's Drive and Arcadia Street, you will also be passing through the Hugh Macdonald Gate, not far from the street in Bridgeton where he was born. So a slightly different episode this time, but I thought it was a story that deserved to be told, and more evidence that history is all around you if you know where to look. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you will get notified when the next episode is uploaded. Hit that super thanks button if you want to make a small donation to help me keep telling stories of Glasgow's past. And don't forget to look back at the other episodes on my channel if this is the first time you've found me. A big thank you to Gary for being the first to tip me off about Hugh, and if you have a story you think I should tell, get in touch through the comments section or via the Astonishing Glasgow Facebook and Instagram pages. The links are in the description below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time in Astonishing Glasgow. Right, I'm off for some Kindle mint cake and some tea out of a flask. I'll see you later. Bye now. Oh, and by the way, apparently my fascination with graveyards makes me a taphophile. Sandy on the Facebook group told me that, or at least I hope that's what she meant when she said taphophile. For all I know, it could mean something completely different. It could actually be a really bad insult, but I've never looked it up, so I don't know. I'll take her word for it.